Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to One Fair Review. As always, I'm your host, Grant, and today there are some noisy neighbors next door. Let me tell you, it's really starting to get on my nerves. I don't think it will pick up on these mics, but it is constantly itching at my ears, and it drives me crazy. But that's not important. Today, I just wanted to just talk about streaming and how beautiful it is. The fact that I don't have to go to a movie theater and sit down and watch things is beautiful. And that's what I did for Mortal Kombat of 2021, a new Mortal Kombat movie. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say this just right now. I am not a fan of the original Mortal Kombat movie from Paul W.S. Anderson. I don't like the movie. For the time, it was pretty good, and I enjoyed it as a kid. But as an adult, I don't like the movie. I think it's corny. I think it's lame. It's extremely dated. You know, there are some good things about it. I like the production design. I like Goro, for instance. He looks really good, the animatronics. But overall, the movie's dated and it's not good. And I'm definitely not one of those people who pretends to like Mortal Kombat from the 90s. So when it came to making a new movie, I really was okay with it, especially nowadays. Ever since I saw Sonic the Hedgehog, Detective Pikachu, and, various other films of that nature, I've started to put more faith into video games in movies. Not 100%. Of course, I don't expect there to be like a Mass Effect movie and think that, oh, that's going to be amazing, it's going to be a hit. No, I don't think that's going to happen. Resident Evil, they're making a new one. Maybe it could work. Maybe it could, but certain ones can't work. In 17th century Japan, the Lingqiu assassins led by Bi-Han attacked a village of Hanzo Hasashi and the members of the rival Shirai Ryuk ninja clan, killing Hanzo's wife and son as well, though their infant daughter is safely hidden. Hanzo himself kills all the attackers before falling to Bi-Han. As Hanzo's spirit is taken to the nether realm, Lord Raiden appears and takes his infant daughter away to safety. In the present day, the realm of Outworld is on the brink of victory against Earthrealm. This sounds so corny. Having won 9 out of the 10 deathmatch tournaments known as Mortal Kombat, spelled with a K, that would allow the winning realm to invade, conquer, and even merge the defeated realm. However, an ancient prophecy is also uncovered, stating that the blood of Hanzo Hasashi will unite a new generation of Earthrealm's champions to prevent Outworld's victory. Aware of the prophecy, Outworld's soul-eating sorcerer, Shang Tsung, employs warriors to hunt and kill all Earthrealm champions. Her frickin' Ray. What a great concept for a movie. Alright, starring the amazing actors of Sanada Hiroyuki as Scorpion, Joe Taslim as Sub-Zero, Louis Tan as Cole Young, Jessica McNamee as Sonya Blade. Why did that give me trouble? Mikad Brooks as Jax, Josh Lawson as Kano, Angus Sampson as Goro, Ludi Lin as Liu Kang, Max Hung as Kung Lao, Asano Tadanobu as Lord Raiden, and Chin Han as Shang Tsung. After reading that list, I actually figured out that I forgot a few of the Mortal Kombat characters. Excuse me. Anyways, let's talk about Mortal Kombat. Alright, I just want to talk about the story really quick. Or I want to talk about the premise. The premise, as reading from my phone, the premise, I just realized just how amazingly corny this must sound. It is very accurate to the game. Obviously, they've taken liberties, as any, writer and director of a movie should when you're doing a video game adaptation to film. Obviously, there's going to be things that are lost in translation. There's going to be things that just don't quite work for film. And when you have Mortal Kombat, just like this huge line of just stories, especially in the 2000s and like the later 2000s, and especially now with all the new Mortal Kombat games, you have so much story and so much characters that your mind can wander and think like, okay, maybe we can use this, we can use that, blah blah blah. And speaking for myself, I would have thought like, oh, for instance, like Katana, for instance, oh yeah, let's put her in the movie. She doesn't even make an appearance in this movie. Well, her fan does, I believe. I did see that in a few points. Or there's a bunch of other fan favorites that I thought like, oh, they will definitely be in this film. They're not in the film. And I guarantee you it's probably because, well, they found like, okay, let's pick the ones that work and let's roll with it. And for the most part, I think the roster, if you will, for Mortal Kombat to 2021, I guess I should call it now, I think it's pretty good, except for one that was kind of strange, and that is Cole Young. Now, Cole Young, he's not a video game character. He's completely original for this movie, and he's basically the audience's kind of view into this world, and he plays a much bigger role, of course, in the story. He is the main character. But yeah, so he was a character. I didn't recognize him. Though I have to be very honest, I'm not 100% familiar with Mortal Kombat, the story, so maybe he was a new character and I just didn't know. I looked him up. Turns out, no, he just came for this movie. And I mean, the actor himself did a good job with the character. I mean, he's a good actor. He's great at martial arts, clearly. But I just didn't really, I wouldn't have liked him to have been the main character. Other characters that I just really thought were really great were Liu Kang and Kung Lao. I thought they were awesome, and they were the actors who played them were really great. They looked the part. They did everything. They looked the part. The fighting style, their costume design, their acting was very good, and for the times that they were in the movie, they did a great job. And I would have preferred it if they were the main characters. If I would to give a little bit of credit to the Paul W.S. Anderson version, in Paul W.S. Anderson's movie, they focused on, I believe it was Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage. That's not to say that I think that the movie is a great movie by Paul W.S. Anderson, but at least it focused on people we could relate to, you know, a general audience could relate to, but also it focused on main characters from the game. In this movie, they focus on Cole Young, who is a completely new character, and that's kind of, I was like, I wish it would focus more on, you know, Liu Kang and Kung Lao, because I thought they were amazing. And even Sonya Blade and Jax, I thought the actors who portrayed them also did a great job. And one of those two groups, whether it be Kung Lao and Liu Kang, or Sonya Blade and Jax, whether it be one of those two groups, I would have liked to have focused on, you know, one of them more than Cole Young. But, you know, whatever, that's a tiny critique. Overall, I did think Cole Young was kind of cool, and thankfully they did not make the mistake that we were kind of predicting when I was watching the movie. To sum everything up, I think the movie's story was definitely weird and fun, but that's okay. That's Mortal Kombat. That's kind of what I expected. I didn't go into this film expecting the story to be amazing. It's gonna blow my freaking mind. Like, oh my gosh, it's so in depth. Like all these characters and their emotions. No, the director and the writers, they knew what you were coming for. They knew what the audience wanted to see. Action. They want to see action. They want to see their favorite characters. You won't get to see all your favorite characters, but you will see a good amount. And for God's sake, Sub-Zero and Scorpion were fucking amazing in this movie. Really what I want to focus on in terms of the story is that this story really revolves around Scorpion. A big part of it from the beginning. It starts off, like I said, in Japan, 17th century Japan with the Hanzo clan, and then of course Bihan, excuse me, I just completely forgot, blanked out for a second. Yeah, Bihan, who is a rival, you know, assassin, goes to kill the Hanzo clan, pretty much verbatim for what happens in the games. And this was actually probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire film. It was just so well crafted, and the action that took place there was great. And Hiroyuki, who's a veteran actor, the man's 60 now. He's been in so many movies. Like, the first movie I've seen him was The Ring, I believe. And then, of course, he's been in so many other movies, both Japanese and American. But I've seen him in so many films. And to see him here, when I saw him, I was like, wow, he looks really good. And I thought for a second, I thought he was 40 years old. But no, he's 60. And he's pulling off some great action moves. Really terrific actor. And he was one of the more standout actors in the movie. I really wanted to see him, mostly because I love his work. And like I said, I've seen him, I recognize him for a long time now. So he was kind of the star, if you will, of the movie. The big name actor is what I mean to say. He was incredible and really just took on the role of Scorpion. Same thing with the other actor who played Sub-Zero, he did a fantastic job. Like, I really loved Sub-Zero and Scorpion in this movie, and they're essentially the main focus. Sub-Zero is kind of the main villain, doing all the scheming. He's not doing all the scheming. Shang Tsung is. It's confusing, I'm sure. If you guys have no context what I'm talking about, it's so confusing. But Sub-Zero's doing all the scheming and all that. Or no, Shang Tsung's doing all the scheming. He wants to Outworld to come invade the realm of Earth. And Sub-Zero's doing his bidding. And I thought he was really cool. I hated Sub-Zero in here. I usually love him in the games, but I hated him in this movie. But Scorpion was just absolutely amazing. And I really loved his costume. I want to stress it out. I can't stress that out enough. Scorpion looks so badass in this movie that if they're going to make another game, or if they're going to add costumes to Mortal Kombat 11, I believe it's on, please take a look at this movie, because I really love the costume design of the characters in the movie. Very simplistic, very nice, which I think that's one of the big reasons I stopped playing Mortal Kombat, because they started becoming very complicated and just kind of over designed, and the very American kind of Transformers-y kind of look that I just don't like. I hate when stuff's that over designed. So this movie, it does over design some things, but in a very good way. And in this way, Scorpion just looks like a samurai slash ninja, and it was awesome, and I loved it. Hiroyuki as Scorpion just really nailed it, and I really loved it. A little detail that I really appreciated, by the way, is that they actually, when there's points in the movie where there's, Chinese and Japanese, I can distinguish the two. Obviously I would be able to, because I'm a freaking loser. But obviously I could distinguish the two, and I could understand Japanese, not so much Chinese. But I really liked how they didn't have to do this, but there's times where they would actually, when two actors were speaking, one was speaking Japanese and the other was speaking Chinese, they would actually put underneath Japanese or Chinese to signify like they're speaking different languages. Because, there are some people who probably can hear both languages, or no, most definitely there are people who will listen to both languages and not be able to distinguish. So this way it was like, oh, that's kind of neat. So that's a little detail that they really didn't need to add, but it just really showed that they were trying so hard with all the extra details. Another interesting thing I thought about the movie, which I've already gushed about Sub-Zero and Scorpion, I might talk about them again in a bit. Another thing I thought was kind of interesting was the actor they got to portray Raiden. Now, Raiden, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. From my knowledge in the games, Raiden doesn't have a form, and he just kind of appears as a white guy. He's just a white dude in the games. Like that's kind of the image I have of him. I've never thought of Raiden as an Asian character, even though I guess he's supposed to be. Again, I've never thought about it until now. In this movie, I wouldn't have second guessed if they just had a white guy be Raiden. But in this movie, they actually got a Japanese actor. The actor's name is Asano. Here's the thing, I don't know him from too many other things. Unlike Hiroyuki, I actually do know him from quite a few things. Asano, I don't really know this actor. I do remember seeing him, for instance, in Thor Ragnarok. But in terms of other movies, I have seen him before. I did recognize him. But he just wasn't, obviously, he was not like, oh, yeah, I know him 100%. I've eaten salad with him. No, I didn't know him. But I did think it was interesting that they decided to go with an Asian actor to portray Raiden. Because, again, I've always known him as just a white guy. And I don't know if they were trying to make him more like a Japanese, a more Japanese god. Because I did recognize his temple had Tori. There was Tori everywhere. So, I mean, not everywhere, but there was a Tori in the background at one point. So, is he supposed to be like a kami from Shintoism? I don't know. You guys can correct me on that. As far as I know, Raiden's just the thunder god who protects Earthrealm. That is all I know from him. Of course, going into this movie, expect a lot of callbacks. There is a ton. It is really creative with what it does. Even some levels show up, which I thought was awesome, though a little bit disappointed that they didn't do a specific fatality that I thought was going to come, but didn't. But whatever, that's fine. Otherwise, I would have to say the story was entertaining, the characters were great. Cole Young was the only one I kind of had a problem with. Mainly, I guess his name was kind of weird to me, Cole Young. It's a cool name, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, as a descendant of of Hanzo Hasashi. I would have expected maybe a more appropriate name. Obviously not Hasashi. I mean, that would be just, you know, a dead giveaway. But I don't know, a more Japanese name. But I think the reason they did that was so then the audience wouldn't know or wouldn't suspect that he was a descendant of the bloodline, which I guess that could be the case, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm just guessing. Like that's, if I wanted to hide that fact, I would have done the same thing. I would have just changed the character's name as well. So I'm assuming. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story. The special effects in the movie were phenomenal, like except for like maybe like a few instances where I thought they didn't work. No, it worked pretty damn well, and I thought it was really, really damn entertaining. Also, Kano's an asshole. Like, he's just an absolute bitch. Don't get me wrong, I did like it though. Although I was weird. He never showed up with his eye. That, I think they saw that in the trailer. I'm pretty sure, where he has like his robotic eye. He doesn't have it in this movie. That might be a little misleading, but I don't know. Those are my thoughts on that. In terms of the whole movie, what did I think about the whole movie? I really don't have much to say about Mortal Kombat other than just positives. I really want to praise the director, the writers, the actors who did a phenomenal job. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, there are some instances where I was like, they're kind of lacking. Melina was a big one. I thought Melina and Goro, actually, even though I thought they looked cool, they just didn't do enough, and I didn't really see them as characters. Even Shang Tsung had barely anything to do. I get Sub-Zero's the main villain, but, you know, a little bit more development with them. And I guess the whole idea with Cole Young being the main character was a little, whatever. But as long as Hanzo came out at the end and just fucked up Sub-Zero, that was the most satisfying thing. So my final verdict for Mortal Kombat, the movie, is going to be an amazing 7 out of 10. Why a 7? Well, because I feel like the movie, if I gave it a 10 out of 10, that would be just the wrong thing to do. I do think the movie does have issues. It's obviously not a perfect film. There are problems. The story's kind of, it's goofy. I think they could have done a little bit more with the characters. I really think they could have done a little bit more. But overall, like, I would say the majority of this film is just perfect for what a fan wants. I went into the movie wanting to see Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and as somebody who went into the movie wanting to see that, I got exactly what I wanted. If you want to go into the movie, you know, seeing like anyone else, maybe you might be disappointed, but, you know, it'll please people differently. If you're a fan of the games, I'm sure I can't see how you wouldn't like this film. I found it very entertaining, very fun movie, and definitely one of the best video game movies I've ever seen. I'm actually looking at the time on my recorder on the computer, and it actually says 40 minutes, and I'm thinking to myself, what did I talk about for 40 minutes that's of any substance? But anyways, thank you guys for joining me on One Fair Review. Have you guys seen Mortal Kombat? If you haven't, tell me down below. If you have, did you love it, hate it, don't care about it, you're mad at me for even talking about it? Let me know down in the comments down below. I always love reading what you guys say. It's always very entertaining and engaging. Thank you guys as always for joining me. I'm Grant for One Fair Review. As always, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.